Welcome back to Confessions of a Recruiter with Blake and Declan. We are on a global mission to build the world's largest community of recruiters so we can all connect and succeed together.
That's right. If you want to check out more of Confessions of a Recruiter, jump onto confessions.tv, subscribe to our bi-weekly newsletter, access merch, and if you want to chat to us directly, join our Discord at XR House with the links below. Now, we hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome back to another episode of Confessions of a Recruiter. And this week, unfortunately, Declan from Recruiter has chucked a sickie. However, that's okay because we've actually got here a very special guest, Declan from Blended Employment. How are you, Declan?
Good, mate, good.
We thought we'd mix this episode up, and we haven't been on the receiving end of the podcast before, so we thought we would, see how we go on having a chat to each other and really getting to know and letting the audience know what we're all about, what our history's about. We did this on one of the first episodes. We're a little bit grim. Looked like we were talking at a funeral. So it would be nice to probably just re-energize it, retell our story. We've had 40 episodes now. We've done a lot since we first started Confessions, since we first started Recruiter and our agencies, obviously. So it'd be good to get a bit of an update. Are you ready for that?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Love it. So let's just start at the start with Blended, because
Starting at Blended or?
starting Blended, because we used to work together at our last agency. We helped each other. Well, I helped you get into recruitment. I referred you to get my little 5K referral fee at the time. And how long were you in recruitment for before you started Blended? How much experience did you have?
1 year and 11 months.
Okay, so you were, in a lot of people's eyes, still a rookie recruiter.
Yeah, and I was a pretty average biller as well.
What were you billing?
I think in my first year, I did like 260.
Okay, so you billed 260 in your first 12 months.
Yep.
What's that? Average 25K a month?
Yep.
20 to 25K-ish, roughly?
Well, 25K is 300. And then in my second year, I did 312.
Okay.
And
that's not too bad.
That's not all 100% self-generated either. That's like
What was it?
fitties.
Oh, fitties in the office.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. And so what were your main bread and butter roles that you were recruiting?
I sort of automatically fell into technical sales roles because
Okay.
before I got into recruitment, I was a boilermaker and tradie and did a couple of apprenticeships. And then the first job lead I got was for a hydraulic company called Fluid Connecto. And I filled 2 roles in my first month for a hydraulic business, a sales engineer and a branch manager.
You got leads?
It was the only lead I ever saw in 2 years, but it just so happened to be the first one in my first month.
So your first month, what did you bill?
29,800.
That's an awesome first month.
And I did my first deal in 13 days from starting.
So how did you do that? Because a lot these days, I think,
Well, you saw it happen and you still didn't believe it happened.
I still don't believe it happened to this day, mate. But for the sake of the podcast, walk me through it.
So, yeah, I was just
So day one, you've turned up.
day one. I went through inductions, did like the week of training, learnt the whole area of the business. And then we had to hit phones. And then it was just so happened like on the first day, I didn't really get cold calling. They're like, oh, hey, there's a lead come in. You used to do a trade, didn't you? I'm like, yeah, mate. Do you want to have a crack? See if you can get them on the phone. I'm like, yeah, all right. Got them on the phone, took a whole client brief. And I just knew all the brands because I used to work with actual hydraulic fluids for the trucking for Mills Tui, which was the bodybuilding. So we used to build fire trucks, ambulances, all that stuff. So you'd have to put hydraulic fluid on bolts to make sure they'd go in and tighten. Or not hydraulic fluid on bolts, you'd put something Loctite or something on it. But you'd put hydraulic fluid through all the systems that would power all the arms to lift ladders up and hydraulic powered systems. So the hydraulic fluid would go in there. I've forgotten about all this shit. But I remembered the brands at the time, and then I knew who to search and what to look for. And then, I found a candidate from Ryco and made the placement.
So what was the feeling like doing your first deal? Was it
I felt like a rock star.
Yeah?
I was on a date at the time.
On
dinner.
a date?
Yeah, because it was a WA role, so they were 2 hours behind.
Oh, yeah.
And I heard, yeah, the girl thought I was a tosser, but I was just so pumped because I had my suit on and I'd left the car yard. And then, yeah, I had to take the offer at like 7:30, 8 o'clock to be like, yeah, we're getting it done. And offered him the job, and everyone was super excited.
So did you hit your budget? I'm assuming that would have hit budget. What was your
The
budget?
expectation was 0 in the first month, 1 placement in the second month, 20K in your third month.
Okay, so you
So-
smashed that out of the park.
Yeah, I had to generate 30K in 3 months, as per my contract, and then I did 29,800 in my first month. Second month was 10K. Third month was 37K.
Awesome. So you're off to a ripper start.
Yeah.
Did it just all click for you like straight away? Were you like, yep, I get this?
Yep.
Or was there it was?
Yep.
Straight away.
Straight away.
How good's recruitment, eh?
Yeah, I was like, this is awesome. I remember calling one of my mates. I was like, I think I found my niche. And then I worked out, I was like, imagine if I could get paid that whole fee. And then like immediately I was like, because before that I was doing the little juice business. So I was like, thinking outside the box and then, yeah, I just sort of got it straight away. It just made sense.
So how far into your recruitment journey did you start thinking about starting your own agency?
Oh, like 3-4 months in.
Mate, 3-4 months in, you'd still be learning the ropes.
Oh, you're still learning the ropes, but you're thinking about the idea. There's a big difference between
Thinking about it.
thinking about it and executing. But yeah, after 18 months, I had like I was going to be a manager. And then one of my mates was like, you should do it for yourself. And I was like, oh, mate, as if. Like I sort of was like, nah, I'm all in. And then, yeah, he helped grow the idea.
Yeah, gotcha. So after 18 months, you started executing the plan and thinking, all right, I'm going to do this for myself.
Yep.
And so after 18 months, did it take you 6 months to get it all together, did it?
Yeah, part of that was savings.
Yeah.
So I had to save up some money. And I was living a pretty awesome lifestyle. Like from living at home, selling cars, to then a year later, I've got an apartment at Hamilton. Me and Dee were together. We'd been together since February 2017. So that was like, January I decided.
So what did you make in your first year of recruitment?
As a PAYG?
Yeah.
112 grand.
112K your first 12 months. That's great. Because most recruitment ads are like 100K in your first year.
Yeah, it's
and
true.
you did it.
Yeah.
How good?
Yeah, I think the first actual year was like 89 because I didn't start a full year.
Yeah.
I started like August to July, and then the next year was 112.
That's really good. And so it took you 6 months to save up, start your own agency. How much did you save? Like, did you have some sort of like goal to justify going out on your own, or what was the thought process between, all right, I'm going to start my own agency, to like then putting things in place? Like, what were you doing?
Yeah, so I had to get a lawyer to go over the terms, create terms. I had to find out who to do a website with, what copy meant, think of a brand, a logo, a name, come to the actual terms of, all right, this is actually going to happen. Finding an office. I knew I wasn't just going to work from home, so I had to find an office lease. I had to talk to suppliers, like Seek. Wasn't until I was up and running that I even heard about LinkedIn Recruiter. So I just had to contact the really bare bones, and then I just started in a little 6 square meter office and making cold calls.
How much money did you have before starting?
20 grand.
That's decent.
Yeah.
And did you think
But
that
my cost was 6K a month.
Yeah, okay. So you thought, all right, I've got 3 months of savings here.
Yep.
Well, when you say costs was 6K a month, what were your costs?
I had an office, which is $800 a month, plus GST. I had $2,200 a month from Seek. I had phone bill, which was $150. I had website maintenance, email hosting. That was, I don't know.
So, okay, so 6K in business costs a month.
Yeah.
What about your, like, lifestyle costs?
Yeah, so that was an adjustment because we went from, like, going to Hawaii. We did Tasmania the year before. We'd go out for cocktail nights. Like, me and Dee lived a pretty lavish lifestyle. And then that all got turned off. So the week before I was resigning, found out we were having a baby. And then I literally resigned and then started blended the following Monday on July 3rd. I resigned on a Friday.
So a week before you went to resign, you found out you were having a baby?
Yeah.
Okay, so did you, I don't know.
24.
Did you think maybe I shouldn't start my business? I'm about to have a kid.
No.
Why?
It just wasn't even a thought process. Like, I'd already started a business in the past. Starting wasn't scary. I was like, I've got 9 months. If I don't make money, I'm out. So I was like more G'd up and excited. It wasn't until I was actually started that I got doubtful.
Yeah, okay. And so what about your non-compete though? Like what did you get lawyers or employment lawyers to look at your non-compete, or you worried about that, or what was the situation there?
Can't remember. I think the lawyer that did my terms of business, maybe she looked at it, or a solicitor, maybe a family solicitor looked at it. But yeah, I just didn't. Yeah, Scroggs, like one of my older mates who ran Chefs on the Run at the time, years ago, he just said, yeah, mate, just go for it and just be upfront and honest. Tell them you're not going to take any clients for 3 months. And yeah, just be upfront and honest.
Okay,
So I just went in and told him what I was doing and got abused and brought up heaps of bullshit and said I'm out.
See, a lot of people resign when they start their own agency. They create a story.
No, I just was very honest.
What did you say?
I said, hey, man, I need to have a chat to you. I'm starting my own agency.
You're 2 years in. Yeah,
Yes.
mate. Can we have a quick morning catch up, mate?
It wasn't even a morning catch-up. It was like the end of financial year, and I think some of the boys were going out for like a long lunch for the directors club. I was like, oh, I need to catch up before you go out to lunch. He's like, and my desk was fully clean and packed up. And he's like, yeah, mate, all right. Can it wait? I'm like, no, it's got to happen now. Because I had a mate downstairs waiting in the car.
What, to pick you up?
Pick me up, yeah. And he was at work, and he's like, hurry up, mate. Why is this taking so long? I was like, yeah, mate, I'm starting my own agency. Like, fuck you are. Your work finishes today at 5. And
Is that what he said?
yeah. I said, oh, you can't do that, can you? I didn't know I could get held at work.
What time was this? Like 10:30 or 11 o'clock
1
or
p.m.
something? 1 p.m.
On the
You
last day
resigned.
of financial year, yeah.
What day was it? Like at a Friday or something?
Friday, yeah, the 30th.
And so you've told him that you're going to start your own agency, and he said, no, you're not.
I said, yeah, I am. I'm leaving right now. And there's a lot of personal stuff said that there's no value in talking about that. But yeah, and I just said, I'm leaving. And then he said, hey, guys, Dex got some news to tell. And said, yeah, he's leaving. He's going to start his own recruitment agency.
What about your colleagues? Like, did you feel bad? Like, was that going through your mind? Like, oh, shit, I'm going to leave. I'm assuming you liked, if you were performing, you would have liked your environment.
Oh, I loved every second.
Yeah.
It was fun as.
So, how do you justify pulling the pin on all of that?
Oh, mate, with all due respect, like, they're fucking colleagues. Like, I didn't really think about, they give me the odd 50 deal at work. Like, what's the real value a colleague could bring to your life besides, like, having a bit of a yarn at the pub or food? Like, you got to put yourself first.
Yeah, so you value, yeah, okay. So you weighed up what's more value in my life, starting my own agency or hanging out with
I've got a kid on the way.
Yeah.
I just went through, like, the whole cancer thing with my parents, a year earlier, losing my dad and all that. You don't really give a fuck about who you work next to at a desk when you got your own, like, dreams and ambitions too. So it wasn't even a thought process.
Okay, so you resigned on a Friday.
Yeah.
And you started on a Monday.
Yeah.
What was day one like?
I shit myself because I was, like, in a little office and I got made to feel really bad about what I was doing. So I left, like, an office that was all bustling and heaps of amazing people and, a bit of a boys' club in a good way. And then to just be cut dry and I was like, fuck, is this it? Is this what starting a business is, just rolling up? Like, I remember going in the lift and this guy goes, oh, first day, mate. I'm like, fuck. How does this guy know it's my first day?
Yeah, how do you know?
He just guessed. I must have looked nervous as shit and I had all my stuff. Like, I was rocking up for literally my first day because it was a serviced office. So they must see people come in all the time in their little work areas. So there was no WeWork.
Did you have, like, a little box of stuff?
Yeah, I had, like, a really big bag full of shit. Like when you rock up at school, you've got all your books for the year and yeah.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so...
Mate, I was that nervous on my first day. I didn't even know, like, if mum goes, oh, do you want to go to lunch? And we went across to the Osborne because I was at 757. I didn't even know what to order or how long I should be at lunch because I just have no directives anymore. I'm like, fuck, what do I do now?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good mind shift from having someone tell you what to do to, like, all right, I've got to figure this shit out myself.
Yep.
Okay, so did you start at 8?
Yep.
Did ya? You just treated it like a normal job?
Yep. I was, suited and booted, rolled in, hair done. And then Scroggs, he came and used to sit out because we both couldn't fit in the office. So he used to sit at the door, and I'd cold call, and he'd critique me on my calls.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you didn't you know what you were doing by then anyway though, or?
Yeah, but it's just like having no one to bounce off, that psychological fear and doubt.
Was it lonely?
Yeah. Well, mate, you have a good call. What do? You turn to someone and you're like, fuck, this is like a shitty little office.
Do you think that moment in time would be quite defeating for a lot of people and they'd give up and they'd think, you know what, I'm not actually going to do this? Or is that just the typical journey of starting your own thing? Is that what to expect? Like, is that a normal start?
Oh, man, I'm sure it would have been different if, like, there was a bit of a grace period in between. It wasn't so just cut and dry and from, out of the fry pan into the whatever. Like, literally Friday to Monday, and I've just been absolutely ravaged. So I'm, like, second-guessing myself what I've done. But if it was, like, a better send-off and whatever, or had 2 weeks in between, or, like, had an environment to go into, or, like, a WeWork, or had some mates doing the same thing, like, yeah, it didn't even cross my mind to see you. Like, I bumped into Scotty and someone else at Officeworks when I was getting all my stuff.
Oh, when you were setting up?
Yeah, the weekend before.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm starting my own agency. They're like, what? Yeah.
What, the guys from my team?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What, I'm assuming that's at the Gabba? Was that at the Gabba?
No, this is when you're still at your parents' house. Your parents'
warehouse.
Warehouse, yeah.
Yeah. Wow, okay. Yeah, that's awesome. And so you started, and then what were your goals? Like, how did you go from, all right, I'm sitting in this little 6 square meter office, and for people that don't know, 6 square meters or aren't familiar with how big that is, 6 square meters could probably fit. It's almost like
3 meters by 2 meters.
It's like a big island bench at a kitchen.
Yeah, like if you ever see our bench top there, it's probably like that.
Yeah. It's tiny.
Mm.
So
I do this. I almost do this in the width.
Really?
Well, yeah, I'm in 1.9.
Oh yeah, staffs up your height, mate. Here we go. Okay, so you jumped in. It was your first day. You're feeling a little frazzled. When was the moment where your nerves settled and you thought, okay, all right, I'm starting to get this?
I got jobs on relatively quick, and then we did like a promotion called Daisy the Dollar, and I raised.
Oh yeah, I remember
that.
Yeah.
Everyone holding up a gold coin.
Yeah.
And I raised some money, and we went out to a farmer, and everyone started sharing the story of Daisy the Dollar, not blended. But it's sort of that was like, a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Get me out of my comfort zone. I had a map of Australia on there. I was like, we'll get this company around Australia one day. So all those things that like Scroggs taught me at the beginning. And then just like thinking bigger than yourself. But immediately it was like, get someone on board ASAP. So I got a commission-only person. 6 weeks in, he lasted.
You hired someone within 6 weeks?
Yeah.
Com only?
Com only, yeah.
How did you find that person?
Oh, it didn't work at all.
What?
Oh, on a CCAD.
Oh, you posted a CCAD?
Yep.
And what was it? What? Recruitment consultant, commission only.
Yep.
Come join me. I've just started.
Yep.
Who was this?
This Jonathan
Oh,
Mills.
Jonathan, the big fella.
From Ipswich. He's a cats of training from Ipswich.
Yeah, okay. And so how did that even, how did that transpire? Because just prefacing this, you're 6 weeks into your own business. You got 2 years recruitment experience. Respectfully, mate, who the fuck wants to work for you?
I don't know, mate. But yeah, so that was a fucking big learning curve. So I just said, mate, we just got a cold call, and yeah, we had job adder, and we just make hit lists and call off Excel spreadsheets, and we'd do 10 calls each. And then, yeah, we just didn't align with each other at all. So I had to wrap that up after 6 weeks. And then one of the other guys in the serviced office was like, oh, you should go down to Serena Russo. They've got a program where, you can sort of get a lucky dime or a lucky candidate that,
Diamond in the rough.
Diamond in the rough.
Yep.
Yeah. They got, they're, whatever's going on in their life, they've been on the dole and they're looking to get, a better in the workforce and stuff. And then that's when I found Kai.
Yeah.
Because, mate, it's not so much like you want stability. You want people that get excited about your business, sometimes more than you can yourself. It's like if they're around you and, you know, creates a bit of culture, someone that's given it a crack, and even if they're absolutely, you know, got no idea what they're doing, they're just trying, and then you're just trying, because then you got that accountability piece. You're not just there on your own.
Yeah.
And then you got to, and leadership, mate. I've never been a captain of a football team. I've never led a team. I've never managed anyone in recruitment. I've never done any of that before, and I didn't even think about that. And then I was like, all right, what do we do?
Okay. So you've started your own agency. You're 6 weeks in. You've never actually managed anyone before. You've never trained anyone in recruitment before, but you've hired some guy with zero experience, and you've tried to start your business and then train someone. Yeah, nice. It didn't work out, eh?
No.
So what were your learnings? What were your takeaways?
Oh, mate, I was just so stressed all the fucking day. It was so unenjoyable. But yeah, I just tried to just keep punching it. Just don't give up. We'd go door knocking every Wednesday. We'd get like
Physical
door knocking.
Nice.
Yeah.
No one does that anymore.
No.
What do you do physical door knocking these days?
Nah.
Why?
Oh, mate, it's just like, it's hard yards. Like, unless you can get to a decision, like in our field, like I got a lot of contacts. I ended up collecting like 3,000 business cards, but it's very rare that you'd walk into an office where you can actually find the decision maker and fill a role. Because you do like 10Ks a Wednesday.
10 kilometers?
Yeah.
What, walk?
Yeah.
How would you do that? You just hit the city?
No, we never did the city, actually. We would do industrial parks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the common response?
Not interested, mate, or managed elsewhere.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, no worries, mate. Or they just presume you're like you're trying to sell their property, or you're a real estate agent.
Yeah. Well, they do a lot of door knocking still. The boys, they do door knocking still, and they roll into warehouses and.
Yeah, but we don't fill warehouse roles, right? So like they're like, oh, can you fill those roles? Like you're talking to a warehouse manager in a warehouse. I need staff, and you're like, oh, mate, we recruit salespeople.
Oh, okay. And he's like, well, fuck.
Yeah, why can't I help you, mate?
Yeah, true, okay. And so, all right, so your first month in recruitment, you build 30K. How was your first month in your recruitment agency?
Fuck it, hell. So, yeah, I did. All right, I'll share some stats that have never been shared before. Yeah, in my first month, I did $2,000.
$2,000. What do you mean, mate?
I did a $2,000 placement. So it was because I was used to like 10 and 12%.
What do you mean?
So you know in our fees where it's like you pro rata the fee?
Oh, okay. So it's like
it was a part-time
20% on a full-time salary, but if they're working 5 hours a week, you charge 20% on the 5 hours or something.
Yeah, so it was part-time, 20 hours a week. It was meant to be like a 5K flat fee, and that's what I thought I was getting. And then I'd agreed to a 5K flat fee. He goes, oh, mate, but you got in here, you pro rata it. So I just got absolutely schooled, and I invoiced a 2K fee. But
really?
Yeah, but that was like the light bulb moment where I was like, I can do this.
Okay.
And even like,
well, yep, the 2K.
The 2K, and he's still a client today.
Is he? Who?
He still gets 2K fees. Triple B Industries.
Triple B Industries. What do they do?
They're a importer of like electronics, and they sew and manufacture like bulletproof vests, load bearing vests for fisheries, security guards, police.
Does he know? Does he know that you were his first client?
Yeah, I told him 4 years later.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Last year,
was he happy about that? Or?
Yeah, he's stoked.
Yeah,
it's funny good. As yeah.
And so, not many recruiters like calling out their clients in a public domain because they get a little bit self-conscious. So why are you any different? Like, why are you actually referring to clients by their company name without?
Oh, because I guarantee no recruiter in Australia will do a 2K flat. So.
True.
Oh,
okay,
man,
so first month, 2K.
2K, yep. And then the next month was, I think I did 11. 11. So I got.
Is that one deal?
2 deals.
2 deals at 11.
6K and a 5K.
Hell, mate.
Yeah.
You were dropping your pants, eh?
Yeah.
What was the mentality? Was it just like, I need to get some money in the door.
I'll
take
6K.
Anything.
Yeah. So so I worked, I didn't know, like, I was like, because even like Scrog's perspective at the time was like, mate, just get used to dealing with people, get your foot in the door. So I was on this mentality that you know, charging 15, 20K would just be absurd because I've only got $6,000 worth of cost. So like I'd almost be robbing people of like imagine charging an 18K fee and your costs are purely 6K. Like you'd be making so much money.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was just like wanting to do the right thing. And then, so yeah, I was just under the view that that was fair and reasonable for a new business and giving it a try. And it was probably one of the biggest mistakes I ever made.
So, mate, 6K costs is not very much. So that was what, like
It's a
5
lot
years
when
ago?
you don't have 6K.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 months runway is what you had.
Yeah, but that's just fixed costs. Like these costs fluctuate. So like I used the landline to call all mobiles. I had like a $600 phone bill out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
I overused on my C-cards. I signed up to LinkedIn Recruiter. So like, you know, I got up to $12,000 a month pretty quick, plus a staff's wage.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it all happened pretty fast.
Okay, so here's one thing that a lot of recruiters that are thinking about starting their own agency ponder is, if I'm billing X amount at my agency, what does that translate to in my own business, and what that shift would look like. And I think someone said to us the other day, if you brought $1 million biller from one agency and you put them into another agency, they're guaranteed not to bill $1 million. It's almost like they bill $600,000 or $700,000, and then they might take a year or two to get back to $1 million because of that transition period.
Oh, Gemma said that.
Yeah, was that Gemma?
5 to 600, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you build
312 was 300, just call it 300K.
Okay, so you build 300 and then you thought, I'm a big dog. I'm going
I'm
to
gonna make
make
$25,000 a month.
Yeah.
Like I'm killing it.
Yeah. And so you went, and then your first year in business, what did you bill?
172.
172. He's covered his costs.
Yeah. Yeah, 172.
Why 172? Like, why couldn't you bill 300K when you were 2 years in, as opposed to billing the same amount as a business owner as like the third year of experience you've got? Like, technically you should be more experienced.
Yeah, but mate, I was like a complete rookie because like the environment you're in, psychological, like, you know, people were hanging around at like Dash at the time was starting to do 80, 90K months. Like it's the environment you surround yourself with. If you're around high performers, you're going to be high performing. But I'm like employing people for the first time from the dole. I've got no money. I'm stressed as shit. I'm trying to like keep afloat. My mates all think I'm rich and loaded, so I'm keeping up a facade that I'm doing really well. There's even a photo at the baby gender reveal, mate. I reckon I lost like 8 kilos. I look like gaunt and skinny as, like 3 or 4 months in. Yeah, it wasn't enjoyable.
So how much did you make of that 170? I guess you made $100,000.
Yeah, it'd be about that. Yeah, six grand a month.
That's great.
No, even more. Less.
Yeah,
Way
because your
less.
costs started going up.
Yeah. And I had wages.
Yeah,
like one
okay.
wage.
And at least did you find your feet in your first year and go, this is awesome? Or
No.
like when did you go, well, when have you ever been able to kind of take your foot off the pedal and go, yeah, this is kind of, I'm in autopilot mode now. I'm making good cash. I'm making good placements.
It really wasn't until COVID.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So it took you, what, 2 years to get to that?
18 months.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
COVID's where we started like finding our feet. Just made some really poor decisions the first 18 months. And then COVID hit, and then I knew like everyone was gonna come out of it better.
Did you get scared at all, like when COVID hit and you thought, shit, is this
Yeah,
the
I
end
remember
of me?
sitting down at Machines for You, and they're like,
Another client of yours that you're calling out?
Yeah, I was down there.
Yeah.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to Machines for You. Couple jobs on, couple 5Ks, couple 2Ks.
But yeah, they're like, oh mate, what are you gonna do? Like, fuck, recruitment's cooked. Like we're in tech. Like people are all gonna come online. This is gonna be an awesome period. So mate, if you can navigate through this, then you'll do really well. I was like, fuck, what am I gonna do?
So what did you do?
I just kept calling. I even did videos like, make sure you show up to the office. I just went to the office every day. Nothing changed. I was calling people. I remember calling Kilcoy Meats, and they go, mate, do you realise what's happening in the world? I was like, yeah. They're like, yeah, we know you got to keep doing your job. So I just kept punching out calls, doing that. And then, yeah, I had some good clients like Cool On. and a couple of others that got me through with some good placements. I got my fees like back up to normal, so like it was 12 to 15% at the time, and that really changed everything. So it wasn't like 6-7K placements, 9K. I started doing that, and then like that COVID time, we started chatting.
Yeah,
we did that recruiter night.
Yeah.
So yeah, baby, like you played a big part in it.
So, what would you change? Like, if you kind of had to look back and go, I have to do it all again. Firstly, would you do it all again?
Yeah.
You would.
Yeah.
Best decision you've ever made.
Yeah.
So why?
Not the 2 years. Like, I know they're my own building blocks and they're funny to look back on, but looking back, it's pretty embarrassing.
I feel like that's the general journey of any business owner, though, that's trying to give it a red hot crack.
Like, mate, if we rewatch some of those videos, we'd be in absolute stitches.
Mate, I think I've got videos of...
I did give it a red hot crack, just in so many wrong areas.
Yeah. Is there any chance that we could get a clip, we clip this up for LinkedIn and get your prospecting processes advertised in a little short clip? So walk us through. This is the funny thing, right? So I obviously have my own agency too. This was before Declan
a little bit more successful and sophisticated in a quicker way.
This was before Declan and I really spoke too much. And look, I've got a little bit of a, you know, not a skeleton in the closet, like a little bit of a, what do you call that thing where you kind of confess? I've got a bit of a confession for Confessions of a Recruiter. I used to sometimes look at your videos and go, what the fucking marbles have gone loose in Declan's head? No shit, mate. I used to watch your videos and go, I don't know how the fuck he has got the spine to do this shit. So Declan, walk us through what you used to do cold calling. What outfit did you wear?
Door knocking. Mate, you're looking at the end product, but this is like, it all made sense to me at the time. So I got taught this theory of 100 cows.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm keen to hear this.
It's not a theory. It's fucking real. And that's why I'm really passionate about Recruiter. And that's why we're going everywhere. But so imagine there's 100 cows in a paddock, right?
Yep.
Everyone's just doing the same fucking shit. It's just an archaic industry.
All the cows look the same.
All the cows look the same. They're just there eating grass. And you got some crazy fucking cow in the background with a sombrero hat dancing. Which cow are you going to remember?
You're going to remember the sombrero cow.
Yeah, not the 99 others just chewing on the grass.
Okay, so your philosophy was...
stand out at all costs.
Okay, all right.
In all situations.
This is the moment there where we get your picture up of what you used to look like prospecting. But for the people that aren't watching, can you describe to us exactly what you used to do when you would go prospect, to be the cow with a sombrero?
Yeah. So I had a cliche brochure. It would be like the normal corporate pack with stock images. I thought it was beautifully designed, but it just looked like everything else. And then I'd wear a suit, and I had pretty nice suits, so like $500-600 suits, and I kept ripping the crutch. So I was like trying to find tailors to put reinforced crutches in them, and I was like, this is doing my head in. I was burning through my shoes really quick. I was like, fucking hell. Everywhere I go, they just like disregard me. Or like you'd walk past a tradie site and they'd all just cock their nose up at ya. I was like, I need an outfit where I'm not going to like get worn out, or it's not going to, you know, people presume things.
Yeah.
So I put together like a King G outfit. I pretty much look like Steve Irwin, to put a summary. And then it was branded with blended employment. So I had blended slogan back then was bringing people together, putting people first. So I had the big BE on my back, blended employment, bringing people together, putting people first. I had a big BE on like my left side of or the right side of my stomach, and then a BE over where your heart is, like the logo there. And we had a safari hat on, and then we had a flyer that was like made up of like, you know, we'll find your candidates, and it had like jungle and the three of us on there, me, Ephraim, and Manisha, and we used to go door knocking. And mate, we got in. Everyone would talk to us because they'd just be laughing. This is what builds business, fellas. Getting out there, getting amongst it, being different. That's what it's all about.
So let me just package this up. You thought, let's go hunting
For candidates.
hunting for clients.
Like, what are you doing, mate? I'm like, we're here to find you new candidates. And then they'd start pissing themselves laughing. And then you'd actually find yourself into a conversation.
Okay, so you, Manisha,
And Ephraim.
and Ephraim. So all three of you together would be out looking like Steve Irwin, trying to
Yep.
find leads.
Yep.
And what was
Just
your
one
success
day
rate?
a week.
1 day a week.
Yep.
Okay, so one day you just dedicated a day finding jobs on.
Yep.
And then the other 4 days was
Cold
sourcing
calling.
canning. Oh, what? Finding more clients still.
Yeah, it would always be doing BD.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, like, what was the difference of success rate between wearing a Steve Irwin outfit and then wearing a suit and tie and looking presentable?
Yeah, we got way more traction in the Steve Irwin outfit. Because we'd get business cards. It'd be funny. They'd remember you. You'd call them back that afternoon and be like, hey, we just dropped a flyer off. The flyer was memorable. It stood out.
Awesome. And so if someone had to go and do some BD, would you still recommend that? Or is there a refined way of door knocking now that you would suggest?
No, I'd still put the kit on.
You'd still put the kit on.
Yep.
Mate, I'm going to hold you to that, mate.
Mate, I'll do it again. I don't give a
You
shit.
wouldn't do it, mate.
Yeah, I would, mate.
No,
With
you
even more
wouldn't.
confidence. Hey, just wanted to jump in here. We got a confessions hotline, so give us a call, send us a text if you want to share any juicy stories, or even just ask a question that's been on your mind, because we'd love to hear from you. The phone number is 0485 865 483. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Okay, so that's a really interesting moment. I remember seeing that, and I remember seeing you wearing that outfit on LinkedIn, posting it on LinkedIn. Because the one thing that you're really good at, mate, is you're good at posting on LinkedIn.
Just posting.
That's the one thing you're good at. and so you never miss a beat, which is fucking great. And sometimes I do get jealous of this like art that you've created of just thinking of things to say on LinkedIn, because I struggle with a little bit of LinkedIn posting constipation. And I used to sit there and like you'd pop up in the feed and I would just sit there and go, what the fuck is going through this guy's head? And what else did you used to do? There used to be other shit you used to do.
Handwritten letters.
Handwritten letters?
Yep.
So tell us about that.
Mate, all this stuff came from Steve. So he's like, mate, you got to be the 100th cow. You got to stand out. You got to shoot for the stars. Just fucking go for
Were
it.
you embarrassed, mate?
No, but he made you feel good. Like it was normal because we're all doing it. So like Manisha was pumped. Like we've had meetings at William Street Tower with politicians. I've been on Sky News. I've been like met Alan Jones, Peter Credlin for like 8 minutes for free. Been on ABC Radio like 8 times.
Look, every so often Peter and I receive correspondence from young people. And we're great ones for believing that we've got to give the young ones a go. Well, we recently received a note from a young man called Declan Kluver. He said, I'd like to have a voice on your show. Well, here we are. We're giving him a voice. He's in the studio in Brisbane. Let's meet this 26-year-old who's just trying to build a business. And indeed, I got an email from him. I bet I can't find it when I want it. Here it is here. Which I thought was a lovely line. Sorry, you're laughing again. He says, I too have many friends who give up on their dreams before they attempt them. Isn't that lovely?
Isn't it?
So Declan, good evening to us from Peter and from me. What is your story? You've got a business, and your business is called? Tell us.
Blended employment. And firstly, I just want to say thank you very much for having me on your show tonight, both Peter and Alan, giving me the time.
Well, not at all. Tell us what your business does.
Our business is called Blended Employment, and we're an employment agency that provides employment opportunities all over Australia for a range of different industries, from sales positions and administration positions primarily, for various different industries across Australia.
So
Channel 7,
how did you do all
Courier
this?
Mail. I'll just write a hit list and get the journos. I'll just send pump letters to the Courier Mail. Every day we'd all have to write one letter to a politician, a public figure, and we just send out letters every single day.
What
Because
would
we had
you
a
say?
mailing system. Oh, for the letter to Alan Jones, which was obviously the biggest impact, we just said, hey, look, I'm a big fan of your show. Love watching Sky News. Grew up with it. But I never like you have a lot of respectful people on that have done a lot of things, but I've never seen a young Australian in business fighting for his own dollar having a crack on your show. P.S. I'm that young Australian or something like that. And then they got the letter, and within a day they called me and they said, "Do you want to come on the radio?" I was on the radio for 4 minutes on 4KQ and 2AW, and he interviewed me. And then I was getting off. I was like, "Thanks heaps." And the producer's like, "Oh mate, can you hang around? He wants to keep it going." I was like, "Oh, yeah." He's like, "Yeah, can you come to Sky News next Tuesday night?" And then all of a sudden I was in a full-blown, I was in News Limited.
That is
But like
awesome.
on the same token, going back to the Juices, when I was 20, we got a full-page free article when we were doing the Juices about Gen Y strikes back and we're hard workers. And we used to wear yellow shoes. We used to have a Kubras on. We used to have pants with just colourful fruit on them, and we used to go door knocking. So, like, you know, you're laughing at me doing it in recruitment, but I did it. I used to wear yellow Crocs. So this was the blended Juices outfit. We used to have grey Kubras, a white button-up shirt that had blended Juices in orange on the back and our logo on the front. And we had fruit-coloured pants that just had all different types of fruit and yellow Crocs. And we used to walk up and down the streets of Burleigh, Gold Coast, Brisbane, Ascot. And I was 20 years old, like just finished my apprenticeship, trying to sell juices, and we'd just walk in and be like, "Hey, we just started a juice company. Do you want any cold pressed juices?"
So you've always been a PR marketing machine.
No, I just had, that was Steve's strong point. So I was like,
PR
"Mate, you want to be
marketing.
successful in business? This is what you have to fucking do."
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah. See,
And then
that's-
it was just I didn't know to be like, you know, one thing that, you know, the times have changed. He was like, "Mate, make sure you call every receptionist and tell them you work at a recruitment agency. You've got great candidates that you want to show the director." And I never fucking got through. So like I'd do heaps and heaps of calls, but I was telling all these
Scrogsy
receptionists.
said this.
Yeah. He's like, "Mate, the person on the end doesn't deserve to pick up the phone if they don't know who you are."
The person on the end doesn't deserve to pick up
Well,
the
you know how we
phone.
used to call up and make up complete bullshit
Yep.
to try and get through.
Yep.
So there's like that tactic, and then there's like, you know, the be nice tactic, be super honest. You don't really get anywhere. You've got to find like a happy medium that's tactful.
Yep.
And leave it up to interpretation.
Yep.
If you're super nice telling everyone, but then if you're super arrogant and just bullshitting people, you've sort of got to find a happy medium on the phone. So like for the first year, I was just really nice and I wasn't getting anywhere. So you'd get lucky, but I'd have to do so many calls to try and get through to a decision maker because I'd be telling everyone I run a recruitment agency.
Yeah.
And back then, recruitment wasn't popular, mate. It's not like now.
So did you find that it was a struggle to try and get engagement out of clients because Blended had only been around for a short period of time? What was that like? Was that ever a challenge?
No.
It was never a challenge?
No. So I never had pitch decks or anything. And then I went into another one of our Valve clients. They were like our second ever client. I got a meeting with them, and they're still a client today. And they said, I remember seeing the director, and he goes, "Mate, you're sure you can do this? You look pretty young." And I said, "Mate, Scroggs was like, you just got to, if you commit to something, you've got to give him your word that you're going to do something." I said, "Mate, I'll give you my word. I won't let you down." And I used to say that at every meeting. And these old guys would be like, "Fuck yeah, all right. You gave me your word."
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
So that was my
something that-
sales pitch, yeah.
I'll give you my word.
"Mate, I'll give you my word. I won't let you down. I'll fill this role." And I used to say it to everyone. I'd get so many, I'd win the work.
Wow, that's actually,
There's
you know
no
what?
pitch decks. There's no fucking
It's
processes.
just straight up.
Straight up, mate. I promise. If you give me this chance, I won't let you down. I'll give you my word. And then you coin it on and you flip it on clients, right? So this guy, he's a good client now, mate. He's a legend. But yeah, at the time, I put forward a candidate. They disputed that he'd applied directly, and I said, "Oh, mate," but he goes, "Yeah, we'll work out your fees, mate. It'll be all right. I'll get it over the line." I said, "Oh, mate, as long as I've got your word on this, like we're only a small business." And then he goes, "Oh, mate, we're not fucking paying your fee at all." I said, "Well, mate, bound by our terms, you don't have to." He's like, "We didn't sign anything." I said, "Mate, I don't give a shit what you signed. You gave me your word." And he's like, "Fuck." And guys hate it when they go against their word, and you end up paying the fee. And then, we built the whole sales team for him over a couple of years. And so sometimes bad relationships end up being really good.
Yeah, okay. All right. So
Yeah, that is probably one of the best things. Just give me your word, mate.
yeah. So give me a word that you're going to pull through for me, and I'll give you my word that I'm going to pull through for you.
Yep.
Are there any scenarios where that didn't happen, and like you said, "Oh, I'll give you my word," and you just
I just don't run around saying it to fucking everyone out of context. Like, if you're getting to the point they're a bit doubting you or whatever, you're like, "No, mate, I've got this.
Yeah.
I'll do it."
Yeah. Are there any scenarios it didn't pull through? And like, how do you kind of backpedal out of it? Do you just be straight up with them, or?
Yep. Yeah, this real fuck situation happened. So it was for a retail role, and they were coming in to the country to, like we were doing recruitment for them all. We had them in our office, me and Manisha sat in on 6 interviews. Our whole day was gone. We took them to a restaurant. We took them to drinks after, and they said, "Oh yeah, we're only going to offer this candidate the job if you agree to like a 3K fee."
A 3K fee?
Yeah, just like absurd. After they'd had a 2-week trial and just all this bullshit, I said, "Mate, this is horrendous." So I emailed the head office and said, "This is un-Australian. This is how you're represented in our country. It's not on. You should be appalled."
What was the outcome?
Fully apologetic. We'll cover every cost. And I said, "Mate, it's not about money. It's about principle. I don't want your money."
Oh, really? So you just said, "No, I don't want your $3,000."
No, they were going to cover the cost of both of our wages for the day, the placement fee, and parking and the food and drinks.
Yeah, wow.
So it would have been more. Like I could have got whatever I asked for.
Yeah.
Because your reputation's everything. And then I said, "No, mate, it's principle, it's not about the money."
So how do you go with disputes then? What's your go-to? Do you have like a lawyer in your back pocket, or do you try and like battle it out with disgruntled clients, or do you ever get into disputes? Like how does that happen as a new business owner? Someone turns around and goes, "I'm not fucking paying your fee." What do you do?
Yeah, 3 disputes. So one was that one with the retail client that just, I said it's principle.
Yeah.
And see you later. That other one that over the, give me your word, and I played it back on him.
Yep.
We're actually good mates, Jamie. And that's a funny story, and we did a lot of great work together. So that didn't really become a problem. And then we've only sent 1 lawyer letter to a client, and it was one of our staff members that got us into that situation where a person left within 24 hours, and I sent a lawyer letter and got the 10 grand.
Got the fee. 24-hour recruit.
Yeah.
10K.
Yeah.
You don't miss
replacement.
them. You don't miss them, do you, mate?
No.
Jeez.
Yeah, but yeah, we'd done the work, and
Yeah.
we deserved to get paid, and it was miscommunication on their end.
Yeah.
And it was going to be like 18K, and they said, "Oh, we just take 10 and forget about it."
Yeah, right.
Because your relationship's fully fucked. Like they probably didn't like blended employment, you know what I mean? So you never want to be able to send lawyer letters. In 5 years, we've sent 1. And I can only remember 3 actual disputes. Other than that, I've never had them.
Yeah, see, I've sent a fair few lawyer letters. I sometimes...
Yeah, but you obviously make a lot more money than me.
No, I think maybe if I haven't sent a lawyer letter for maybe 2 years now, but for my first maybe 3 years...
You personally or other people? Who's the actual... been the situation? Is it you personally recruiting the role? Or has it been other people in your business that have caused you to send a letter?
Both.
How many have been for you?
Mate, I remember one. I think I might have told you this before. I was adamant I fucking filled this role. And I was grilling this software company in Canberra. And I think we were exclusive at the time. And the fee would have been like 28, 29K for an exclusive. I think it was like a software architect or something like this. Anyway, reached out to all these people, didn't fill the role. I was really pissed off. And then all of a sudden, they started like pulling it from me, and then they hired someone. And the guy that they hired, I sent him a letter. I'm like, hey, an email, sorry. I'm like, hey, you've hired this person. It's within the contract. I sent their details forward. And at that time, they were changing brands, and they changed their emails, and they went from like, let's just call it ABC company to XYZ company, because they did a bit of a brand update and they changed their name. And they didn't have any of the emails of me putting forward the candidate's details. And for some reason, I couldn't find it either. And so I've gone to the lawyers. This was over the Christmas and New Year break as well. Gone to lawyers, hitting them up for a 25K fee. I'm arguing with the CEO. He's like he's worth like $200 million. He's in with all this government, and he's winning all these government contracts and software. Anyway, so like we were having these massive blow-ups. And I spent maybe $2,000 on lawyers, which is generally 2 or 3 letters, essentially. And then had a mediation call with the CEO, and we agreed on a 15K flat. And so I took $15,000, and then it wasn't until maybe 6 months later, I didn't realise I never sent the fucking candidate. It was just someone that I spoke to on LinkedIn, and the name just sounded really familiar. Isn't that fucking cooked? I just fully hit these guys up. Like, give me the fuck. You fucking owe me a fee. Owe me a fee. And then they ended up paying me.
Surely throughout the full thing, you were fully convinced.
I was so convinced.
You couldn't pull that off otherwise.
Mate, I was ripping HR. I was ripping the sales director. I was ripping all these people. Like, this is bullshit. You guys are snakes. All this kind of shit. They're making all this stuff up, pulling all these roles, and I fucking went so hard. We agreed on a 15K flat, and it wasn't until I thought I was having issues with my emails that I couldn't find the email, and then it turns out that I just actually never sent the candidate.
Did you ever actually deal with the company?
Never. I never dealt with them again. I actually placed maybe 6 or 7 roles with the hiring manager at her previous business, and then she got a new gig at a new software company, and I think I placed 2 people with them initially. Then they got a sales director and a general manager in, and he wanted to like shake it up and hire a few new people. And then anyway, so I'm sending this guy candidates, and I think they did like 6 interviews. One candidate they offered, they pulled the offer, said, "No, we're not going to do it anymore." And it was like so sloppy, and it was the worst like outcome from a recruitment process, to the point where I was like, I don't even want to deal with these people again. And then like 3 months later, this guy ended up getting hired and updated his LinkedIn. And then I was like, no fucking way. They fucking hired my guy. And yeah, I ended up figuring out that I never actually sent them the candidate and got 15 grand out of him. Anyway, that's a fucking confession for you. Hopefully they're not listening to this podcast, because they'll be like, what the fuck? But so like I went through this moment like for the first couple of years of sending legal letters, mainly because one, I couldn't be bothered putting in the mental headache of trying to argue with someone about shit. I was just like, I'm just going to send it to the lawyers, and it made things really easy for me, so I didn't have to think about it. But it cost about almost $1,000 per letter from a lawyer.
Mine was, 800. I just never been in the point where I need to.
You know what's really funny? I stopped sending lawyer letters when I spoke to you during COVID, and you were like, mate, I've got this fucking client, he's not paying the bills, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, send a lawyer letter. And you're like, nah, I don't want to do that, blah, blah, blah. And I had another client at the time doing like, not doing something dodgy, but generally sometimes what they do is they would just try and string you out to not pay you. Like they'll try and find a reason, they'll try and make up an excuse, they'll try and bring your fees down, or they'll do something that isn't cricket after the fact. And maybe that's because I've never once prior to COVID ever got our terms signed. I just send them terms and then send them candidates and be like, all right, you owe me a fee. And it was really just like, you'd just be doing stuff. And it wasn't until you said to me like, mate, why are you sending legal letters? Like, don't you have a relationship with these guys where you can just pull on their heartstrings and be like, come on, mate. I thought we had an agreement here.
Your word.
Yeah, literally, no shit. When you told me that, I was like, fuck, all right. I never really pull on the heartstrings. Whereas you're the kind of guy that would genuinely pull on someone's heartstrings and go, come on, mate, do the right thing here.
Well, you like to think you do the right thing by everyone else. So when someone fucks you, you really know they did the wrong thing.
100%. See, I used to approach these fee disputes super clinical, black and white, and you approach fee disputes based on emotions and who's in the wrong and who's doing the right thing and who's doing the wrong thing. So even if we're doing the right thing, I would never go, oh, mate, you're doing... Even if they're doing the wrong thing, I wouldn't be like, mate, you're doing the wrong thing. I'd be like, this is what the terms say. This is what you owe us. It's that simple. I'm not getting into an argument. I'm not getting into like tit for tat.
Well, that's immediate when that's what happens though.
Yeah, well, then I just send a legal letter. Whereas you're like, mate, I don't care if you haven't sent the terms. You just fucking told me you'd pay me.
Yeah.
So pay me. And then you would get it done. And you would save yourself $1,000.
Yeah.
So...
And no one gets involved. There's no waiting.
Yeah.
Mate, I fucking hated that process. So like the time with that Melbourne placement last year, it was deflating, mate. It dragged on for like 8 weeks and you still don't know if you're going to get paid. And they fucking hate you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's annoying. It's really bad. So yeah, that's one thing that I actually took from you when we spoke, I think during that kind of COVID moment. So post-COVID though, how is everything? You mentioned the first 18 months you're a little bit like making lots of mistakes,
Yep.
trying things, getting out there. You're the 100th cow. Now, post COVID, what's the situation?
Yeah, I think coming out of 21, we got some like good processes. Started trying to get away from that static one-to-one recruitment all the time. So like investing in some software, doing some courses, looking at how we can generate using virtual assistants. So like outbound email campaigns that were automated, VAs sending prospecting emails to people like Manisha. She's not a VA, but she worked here for ages and then went to India, and so she's virtually not here. So she lived in Canada and used to send me, jump in a blended email and smash out reverse markets of candidates that I would interview in Australia. So we'd do like dual placements. So like that type of stuff, automation, just a bit more like software focused. And I started doing a bit of that. That made BD a lot easier.
Okay,
so
so
it wasn't just one-to-one phone calls.
Okay, so that was a strategy that you implemented that improved your billings, improved your jobs on.
Hugely.
You stopped wearing safari outfits and you
Yep.
started implementing software that you could prospect at scale.
Yep.
Yep. How did you think of that?
Um,
Was it a light bulb moment, or you mentioned courses?
Yeah, just like random software demos and that type of stuff. The big thing was, it was all like we used to send like videos, like take a video and send it to a hiring manager to be like, hey, we can recruit your roles. This is my
Oh
introduction.
yeah.
That type of stuff. So you could
Did
send,
that work?
Nah, that's pretty shit.
Yeah.
And then like Reply.io was a really good outbound email marketing tool that you just scrape. You just get a VA in Bangladesh to scrape a bunch of hiring managers in an industry, put them in, and they just send out from your inbox, connect it up, and away you go.
What's that? What was that like? Was that good?
Mate, it was like you'd found a pot of gold. Imagine sitting there, you've been cold calling, you're door knocking, you're burnt out, you're like, mate, and then all of a sudden this random email that you didn't even send, a hiring manager goes, can I see that CV or can we have a meeting?
Yeah.
In your inbox.
Yeah.
You're like, holy shit.
Yeah. How many of them would you have?
Thousands.
Thousands.
So every consultant would have their account, and I'd just make sure we'd always have 1,000 emails going out a week, because you'd get like 1 to 3% replies. Some would have like 7 to 12%. And then, yeah, so then we started doing that. It was a big morale booster. But then 12 months in, no one wanted to cold call, couldn't get them on the phones. They'd be like, get me a new list. You're like, oh, for fuck's sake. So it's sort of a bit detrimental.
Yeah, okay.
You need a balance.
Yeah, so in one aspect it was really good because you started getting a lot of momentum and activity, but then it created laziness. Yeah.
So me, Manisha, Ephraim, we knew what hardcore BD was, right?
Yeah.
And they're both gone on to be successful in other agencies. But then, yeah, like, and I hyped it up too much that like we got self-generated leads and don't have to worry about cold calling and everything's tracked. And so, yeah, so it sort of had its own demise.
Yeah.
Trying to keep that balance.
And so, and then you started Ex-Recruiter.
Oh, yeah. Well, Blended got to a pretty good spot through 2020, 2021, 2022. And then it was sort of about, you know, different reasons happened with different people, all unique situations. And then Ex-Recruiter was bubbling away in the background, and then it's sort of just naturally taken up more and more time.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what does the future look like now?
I think Blended will be forever Blended.
Yeah.
I think now we're getting, like, I got recruiters asking me to coach them and train them and mentor them and can I have a job at Blended. And so I think just getting Ex-Recruiter to, you know, a good space, like in hitting our targets with what we want to do with Ex-Recruiter and the exciting community that we're building.
So are you spending 50% of your time recruiting, 50% of your time in Ex-Recruiter? Is that kind of the split, or like where are you spending your time now?
I feel like I'm 50-50, but it's like 40 hours in Blended and 40 hours in Ex-Recruiter.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you manage that? Is that overwhelming? Do you feel
Yeah.
like you're burning out, or?
No, I try to like slow downs on a Saturday or Sunday. But yeah, during the week it's full on. So it's, yeah, I try to do Blended all day. Well, because Ex-Recruiter is just getting so hectic. There's so many moving parts.
Yeah.
So many people. Like we got like, 14, 15 agencies. We have to like turn off the marketing just to, you know, get everyone in a good space. So like, yeah, I don't know, you're just trying to juggle everything and do your best by everyone with what you got. How are you finding it?
I find it difficult. What do you find most difficult though? Because for me, I find it difficult to allocate headspace. It's one thing to commit to something on paper. It's another thing to commit to something in reality. And I'm finding reality and in theory are always two very, very different situations. Give you an example. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're recruiters in Vendito or Blended. Thursday, Friday, we'll work on ex-recruiter. That's in theory sounds like a great idea. Or it's like business hours, we'll go recruiting. After hours, we'll go ex-recruiter. Whatever the split is. But because your mind runs in a certain direction on a certain task to try and achieve it or get it done, by the time it's time to swap over to ex-recruiter mode or blended mode, it's really, really, I find, really, really difficult to try and have that switch. It's kind of like the first moment of trying to get in the mojo of prospecting for clients and then screening candidates, because it's such a contrast between
Times that by 10.
Yeah. It's really hard to just jump in from one to the other and just kind of swap personalities and styles.
Like look at today, for example. So I get in, this morning, what did I have this morning? I had some catch-up calls. Oh, what did I have at 9? Yeah, see, mate, I've even forgotten what I've done today at 9 o'clock. But yeah, I had something to do with Blended, and then I had to book in a round of interviews, and then 10 o'clock I had a product meeting with Tim, and then 11 o'clock I had a Compono software meeting that Andrew Banks referred us to.
How was that?
Awesome.
I missed that.
Yeah.
Was I involved in that?
No, it wasn't the actual meeting. It was just like a demo, so I didn't bother to bother you.
Oh, I don't get to be a part of a demo, do I?
Anyway, so yeah, I had that,
Shit.
and then straight from there, I booked in some more interviews for Blended, and then I went straight to the city for a meeting with Lee. So we had a client meeting there, and then after that, as soon as I finished that meeting, like my inboxes are blowing up. So I'm like, but leaving a Blended meeting, knowing I've missed a payroll ex-recruiter meeting, and then after that, we've got an RCSA meeting, and then back here, I'm following up on candidate calls and client updates, and then now we're doing the podcast.
Yeah, it's wild.
Like, mate, it's absolutely like, but it's all progression, all right? Like, this has slowly happened over the last 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
Because it's not like all of this is just like, whoa, happen.
Okay, so ex-recruiter's been going for 10 months?
Has it?
10
August,
months.
yeah.
Yeah, it's 10 months.
Yeah, I suppose the last 5 months has been dramatic compared to the first 4.
Yeah, 100%.
We weren't really doing much.
Yeah.
It was like a bit of posting and trying to work out the podcast to what we do now. It's insane.
So what's your vision with ex-recruiter? Like, what do you want it to be? Have you got like a 5 or a 10 or a 20-year plan?
Yep.
What is that?
So 2-year plan, which I think is definitely achievable. We have 100 recruitment agencies across Australia, America, Canada.
In 2 years or within the
2 years.
first 2 years?
Within the first 2 years. So like January 2025.
Awesome.
100 recruiters all working for themselves.
Is that achievable?
Yes.
Why?
Because we're doing it. We're on track.
Are we?
Yep.
Okay.
There's 26,000 recruiters working in agencies across Australia, thousands in the US, first product to market. Where, I know there's other virtues of what we do, but I just think we do it better than everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone's excited by it, the community aspect, the compounding effect. Like, I think it will definitely happen. Like, we launched one agency and we get 4 or 5 new customers.
Yeah.
We launched another 10 in the next 2 months. That could potentially be another 40.
Yeah. So the compounding effect of other people seeing other people start agencies.
And they're not starting how I started.
Yeah.
They're starting on the back of how our last agency started, which is a compounding effect of the experience of you and I doing 5 years, plus the experience of these people being premium, high quality, like our model is top 5% of recruiters in the world. We want to enable them to give them the best resources and access possible.
Yeah.
So it's like a fully like done for you shortcut. I'm not going to tell you to put on a safari suit and go door knocking. I'm not going to, do all that shit. You'll like get all the cheat notes that's taken us combined at 11 years
Yep.
into one on how to run a profitable micro agency.
And so what do you think the secret sauce is behind Ex-Recruiter?
Well, what we've just spoken about for the last hour, the unknowns.
Yep.
Like I didn't know what I was doing. I had no one to talk to that was doing exactly what I was. Had no processes, systems, didn't know how to get anything with suppliers. Like, mate, look at the relationship we've got with the RCSA, with all of our suppliers and accounts. Like, mate, I think it's amazing. I didn't even know you could have that good of a relationship with suppliers.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that maybe a lot of new business owners don't realise is when you've got some wins on the board and you've got people that want to do things for you, it's far easier to be successful when you've got suppliers, partners, groups, communities that are all there backing you to be super successful. And it's what's missing in recruitment.
Well, mate, it's so siloed. How I started my agency is how 99% of people, and that's why people are tuning into this, because they're sitting in that 6 square meter office thinking they're crazy and going, shit, what have I done? And then giving up in 6 months and not actually, there's a compounding effect that you get from not giving up.
Yeah. What's that thing that you told me? I think you told me a bit of a quote. Maybe it was a couple of years ago, and it was along the lines of, people don't fail at business; they just give up.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And there was another one that you said, and it was, it's not about winning; it's about staying in the game longer than everyone else.
Yeah.
And it basically the meaning behind that essentially is you don't have to be the best person ever, but it's just as long as you don't give up.
Look at me, mate.
And you stay in the game, everyone will eventually fall away, lose momentum, lose focus, life will happen, shift directions, and you'll be the last guy there that everyone still remembers and comes back to you.
Well, mate, look at us. Like,
Yep.
like we've got a long way to go. It's not like we've achieved much from our little stints, but when you look at everyone else that's had a crack over the years, friendship circles outside of it, recruiters we've seen, and now like the amazing things mate, I didn't think five years ago that Greg Savage would know who we are, or Andrew Banks would be chatting to us, or the RCSA would be, having Zoom meetings with the CEO
Yeah.
and head of partnerships, John, and stuff.
And pumped up.
And like excited for us to do shit. And like going on a 400-person yacht to driving an RV across Australia. Like, mate, this stuff's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it just blows my mind. It gets me so G'd up. Like, I was chatting to Andrew from Share Story, and he's like, mate, how do you get so excited? Like, I just want what you're on. And I'm like, mate, it's just like everything's falling into place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's that compounding effect of getting the leverage of business and just not hanging around. Because I've had people say like, oh, but mate, I'll just stay with Ex-Recruiter and that'll be me. I'm like, no, mate, you don't know what Ex-Recruiter will be. You're looking at the here and now.
Mm. So what will Ex-Recruiter be?
It could be anything. It could be like a full-blown marketplace, community training, academies. It'll have the best tech in the industry, and a platform that's all-inclusive for anyone to hire the best recruiters in the world. Yeah,
okay. So Ex-Recruiter at the moment, I guess it's defined by like
we don't really know, mate. Like that's just a 5-10 year goal. Like everything's happening pretty dramatically.
Yeah, there's so many elements of Ex-Recruiter that are really, really special. The first element is the tech. Helping people get from the archaic, old school way of doing things into the new way of recruiting. And that might not necessarily be a direct reflection on you all of a sudden tripling your billings. That might be keeping your billings the same but having a far better quality of life, having a far less stressed process and system in the back end. So that's one really exciting element of Ex-Recruiter. I think the second really exciting element is the community aspect and being able to leverage with other business owners. I think that's really special because when you do start business, sometimes it's really not everyone gets a sounding board. Not everyone has the luxury of having mum and dad, which is I was super lucky to have mum and dad that are also business owners that I basically sat next to their desk, and if I was feeling like I was crazy, I'd just talk to them and they'd be like, "No, you're doing good. Just keep cracking on." And that's literally sometimes all you need.
Yeah.
Is someone just to say, "No, you're doing a good job. Keep going." And then boom, you're back on track and you're steamrolling again. And it's not overly complicated. It's just having someone there to just, believe in you and support you and look out for you to talk to. So I think that's really, really special with Ex-Recruiter. But you're right, who knows what Ex-Recruiter is going to be? Not in the sense of we don't know if
Where
we're
going
to be
or what
around.
we're doing. Yeah.
We're going to be around or not. It's more of like there's so many the exponential momentum that Ex-Recruiter can have around being a marketplace where other recruiters can engage each other. It can be a marketplace where companies come to try and engage a high-level recruiter to work for their business. It could be, mate, the more and more I think about it as well, Big Logs, I think Ex-Recruiter could literally, a really heavy division of Ex-Recruiter could be media. Ex-media, mate.
It's on my truck.
Huh?
It's on the truck.
Exactly. Like, the thing is, like, the really special part, we're going into, like, the age of video, which is, it's already happened. Video is obviously a massive thing. But the amazing thing about recruitment and the downfall of recruitment is it's a huge lag. Recruitment has this massive lag to catch up to everybody, to catch up to the new generation of people. And that's around video, that's around presenting yourself online, that's about social media, etc. So from a media standpoint, social media, pictures, videos, introductions, all that kind of stuff, I think Ex-Recruiter media could be huge for branding, personal and business branding for businesses. So there's a whole range of things that I think are really special, including the ability to network with other recruiters, because we've seen it firsthand where people in our Ex-Recruiter network, we've got like Crystal, for example, she's pumping out property roles, and then someone turns around and goes, "Hey, I need someone that is in this type of position. I need a temp labor person in our warehouse for our manufacturing division." And then instead of Crystal going, "No, I don't do that," Crystal flicks it over to the boys that are in the temp division, a part of the Ex-Recruiter network, and they're just getting free leads.
Well, mate, in the last week, I've done I've referred Jack, Lisa, Nicole. Yeah, that's 3 or 4, 5 clients.
Yeah. It's insane that the networking effect of everyone working together
Yeah.
is so much more valuable than everyone thinking that if someone knows who my client is or someone, knows what I'm working on, that I'm going to lose business. There's such an exponential effect of networking and working together and collaborating and sharing clients and sharing deals and not being self-conscious that someone's going to eat your lunch sitting next to you because they're at another agency. Because we're all in the same industry. We all want to look after each other. We all want each other to succeed. And I feel like we're slowly getting there with Ex-Recruiter.
And mate, that's the only way we've succeeded.
Yep.
Because we were that soundboard to each other to pull each other up.
100%. Yeah. I think it was a really strong moment in both of our agencies where we've kind of come together and both worked on our processes and our systems together to be better recruiters. If it wasn't for you, mate, I'd still be sending out $1,000 legal letters. And so that's made me a better recruiter to get little snippets of how you do things that seem to work. And I'm sure there's so many things that you've seen me do.
So many. Mate.
I'm sure you've picked up on so many great things from
things.
what I do to make you a better recruiter.
Honestly, Ex-Recruiter is just Vendito labeled in a different way. Blake's the best recruiter ever.
Best boss.
Yeah.
I think that's the benefit of having a collective intelligence. I've said that word a couple of times, collective intelligence, and that's what it is.
That's nice.
It's nice, hey?
And yeah, I love the word compounding effect because we're finally starting to see what it's like to compound and never give up.
Yeah.
And if you just don't quit, but mate, I wish I could just go back and visit that guy in that 6 square meter office and just tell him, mate, it'll be all right.
Mate,
Just
you wait,
fucking
you
get
wait,
going.
mate.
Yeah.
yeah, 100%.
It'll be all right. So like, and you don't get that at an agency.
Yeah.
Because one, you've got to look at like who your leader is. Are they entrepreneurial? Are they pushing the buck? Are they actually fighting for a bigger future for you? Or is it like, hey, let's just make some cash and I'm a bit burnt out and I'm a bit archaic.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing. Like you can have a really brilliant and amazing and incredible recruitment career based on which desk you get put at.
Yeah.
And you could have the complete opposite. So, and that goes for any career in life. Like even Logan, like you could be associated with really good video people, or you could just flounder around with, that goes in anywhere, maybe even just in life, you can get caught up in the wrong people. But yeah, the compounding effect of doing the right thing, being around the right people, do it for long enough. And once you get a community of people together, multiplies is exponential.
Yeah, 100%. No, I love that. Well, I'm very excited to see what the future brings with Ex-Recruiter.
Oh man, I'm pumped. Thank God for COVID, eh?
Thank God for COVID. It was a blessing in disguise, honestly. It was something where we were all able to recalibrate, replan, reinvent ourselves, and then come out better than ever.
Yeah.
And come out better together.
Better together.
You like that?
Yeah, that's awesome. Man, I can't wait to spin this around and have your version.
Mate,
Get under the hood.
yeah. We'll see. See how it goes.
How much are you willing to tell?
Mate, I'm an open book, mate. I've always been an open book.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
excited, looking forward to reading it.
All right. Thanks for joining Confessions of a Recruiter. Appreciate you coming on, Declan from Blended. But before we go, do you want to tell us about our sponsor of the podcast?
Mate, should Logan even jump on and have a full-blown testimonial?
Logan.
Mate, you need to come on and tell us how much you enjoyed a bit of the OG coffee today.
Is Logan drinking it?
We had some more today. We can't get enough. Let's get an unbiased opinion.
Hang on.
Logs, welcome, brother.
Nice to be here.
Logan's first
First
appearance.
My
podcast.
first official appearance that I'm here sponsoring coffee.
Is this
So
on?
what
Is
it
this
is,
one on?
it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So it's Before You Speak Coffee. This one's called the OG. Declan actually recommended it for me this morning. I'm a big bean fan. I believe probably since I've worked here, we've gone through however many bags, and I'm probably 90% of it.
Yeah.
And what's in this one is some turmeric, MCT oil, and ginseng. But what it tasted like was a bit of a like caramel latte. And honestly,
Mate.
all it is a little sachet with powder.
Yeah.
You put it into a little glass, some hot water, whatever milk you want. I don't like sachet coffee. Don't like instant coffee. This though, before you speak, have a cup.
Yeah, mate, it is just fire.
Yeah.
One
How
of the
good.
boys got Makona. I was like,
Oh.
Makona instant?
What, like Blend 43 vibes? Holy shit.
I said, oh, brother.
What
That's-
you want to do is probably try the mochas as well. Haven't had one of them, but you know I love a mocha. A
Yeah,
little bit of
Mm.
sweet in your coffee as well.
Yeah.
that's fire.
Hey,
Like,
we need it.
tomorrow's
We
go.
need it. I think we need to all have a Before You Speak coffee every morning when we wake up on our road trip together.
yeah, well, we've got, they
100%.
sent us a big bunch. So we've got 100, 250 sachets we'll be handing out at Telenex as well.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they've
that's
kitted us
great.
up.
How good. Mate, you need to be. I think this should be a new thing. Any sponsor, Logan actually talks about it. It mixes it up.
Just me.
Yep. Anyone want to sponsor the podcast? Our media guy will talk to the audience about it.
No, mate, that's a legit, they're fucking awesome.
Genuinely, probably the nicest coffee I've had in a very long time.
Wow, how good.
And we live in Tenerife. The coffee caliber is really high around here.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
Beautiful. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.